Hello there! October is here to smash down your doors with even more video games vying for your time and money. Like I do every month, I've compiled a list of the best AAA, mid-range and free-to-play games for the month ahead, and a few dad jokes too. So let's go through October. The iconic Silent Hill 2 returns via a remake, bringing the 2001 game up to date, but maintaining the atmosphere which made that original survival horror game so compelling. In third person, we play as James Sunderland, who receives a letter from his wife, who isn't alive, and this becomes the first step in a journey that involves fighting live mannequins with the legs for arms, and of course everyone's favourite sword-dragging Pyramid Head. Although the story is faithfully sticking to the original, updates have been made, first in the scope of the locations, with Silent Hill having multiple shops and hotel rooms to explore, all while the tension and unease continuously builds. Then, in combat, James now has a dodge move to get out of the way of incoming damage, and honestly, it looks like it makes battles much fairer and much easier. And finally, puzzles make the last step in the gameplay loop, remixing scenarios from yesteryear and forcing players to really think through the right way to solve them. Previewers have commented that Silent Hill 2 isn't in the same league as Capcom's Resident Evil remakes and instead stays more loyal to the original game. We'll get to experience it ourselves on October 8th on PS5 and PC, with an Xbox version expected in about a year's time. As we're already looking at games that give a fright, and remakes too, look at Until Dawn. It's back, having been rebuilt for PS5 and PC. Until Dawn is honestly barely a video game in terms of what we do with the actual controller, basic movements and occasional QuickTime events, but that's because the story is the real focus. We make the decisions for a group of 8 young people spending the night in a log cabin as the snow rolls in. Oh, and of course there's a creepy bad guy watching them. The best thing at work here is the butterfly effect. If we mess up accidentally, or let's be honest, totally on purpose, each of the characters' stories will change, and they all can be unalived. Yet the game continues regardless, as different people, or none at all, survive the night. Visually, Until Dawn looked amazing on the PS4, but holy heck, the new version is cinematically perfect. The only stumbling block is if you really want to pay full price for a game you already played 9 years ago. Are the tweaks to the story, a few gameplay updates, and the visual improvements enough to tempt you in? Until Dawn hits PS5 and PC on October 4th. Right, let's leave the spooky games for a little bit, because October is also the month of Dragon Age Veilguard. The action RPG series returns, and of course, everyone is comparing it to Baldur's Gate 3. And there are some similarities, like companions that make up our group, and their evolving relationship depending on decisions we make in conversations. Here's what surprised me. Many previewers have said the combat is more akin to God of War. Combat happens in real time and uses a combo system of light, heavy and ranged attacks, complete with finishing moves and talisman-like modifiers. We choose one of 4 races and use a deep character creator to hone our perfect hero before committing to a class of warrior, mage or the arrow-wielding rogue unit, each with their own skill tree and abilities. We are also able to command our companions on who to attack in group brawls. Story-wise, Veilguard follows on from Dragon Age Inquisition, which we are assured we don't need to have played, as a recap and a flashback system will take us through the key plot points. The developers BioWare have had a hard time recently with a few failures, Anthem comes to mind, but with this new approach to combat, on top of their sublime ability to build meaningful relationships in games like Mass Effect, this one might be the game of the year. Dragon Age Veilguard hits PS5, Xbox Series and PC on October 31st. Speaking of dragons, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero lands on October 11th. An arena fighter that evolves the Tenkaichi series while doing one of 2 things, staying perfectly in line with the anime canon storyline, or completely breaking the narrative to uncover branching paths. Sparking Zero has confirmed 182 playable characters ranging from the mainstays to the lesser known fighters. And as you can see, we are not locked onto one plane of movement. These battles are as vertical as they are horizontal, battle in a full 360-degree sprawling arena. The story mode follows 8 characters and has us reenact key battles from their storylines, yet it's possible to change history. It becomes a what-if kind of game, as new cutscenes play out before, during, and after fights. Some outcomes are hidden away so well, only certain moves performed at certain times in the battle will unlock the branching narrative. On top of that is a custom fight mode that lets players create their own dream battles with unique cutscenes and in-game triggers to share with the rest of the community. But before anyone else plays, you must prove your scenario is possible to beat. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is looking really good and hits PS5, Xbox Series and PC on October 11th. Arguably the biggest game of the month, and the year for that matter, is the juggernaut that is Call of Duty. And this time it's back to the Black Ops series, following up from Black Ops Cold War in 2020. One thing we can always bank on with COD games is just how good it feels to play. Not many first-person shooters come close to this one, and as always there's a new gimmick this year, which will either be forgotten or become a feature in every other game: omnidirectional movement. It's a simple concept that finally allows players to run, slide and dive in any direction, making the whole experience a little more realistic, and to be honest, it's way more cinematic. Story-wise, we're going back to 1991, following Frank Woods hunting down a clandestine force that has infiltrated the US government. And if that's not your kind of thing, then zombie mode is back, and in multiplayer, the prestige leveling system has returned too. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 lands on October 25th on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, and the PC. Okie dokie, let's delve into the world of free-to-play games, and we start with a former PS Plus multiplayer game that in my opinion should always have been free-to-play: Foamstars, Square's take on the Splatoon series, replacing paint with bubbles. Foam weapons literally make the terrain of each battle, as hills and mountains can be created to take the high ground or build a little cover, which can all be washed away soon after. And tactically, the foam your team lays down is quicker and easier for you to move on, and the opposition slows you down a little bit. Plus, each weapon type affects battle differently and follows the usual archetypes in other shooters, like a rocket launcher, but with bubbles. I still wish Foamstars was free to play on all platforms rather than imprisoned to just PlayStation, but this is the way it is, I guess. Foamstars goes free to play on PS4 and PS5 on October 4th, and if you played the PS Plus version, there will be some extra items for you to claim in-game. A party game which has just dropped is Fast Penguin, or rather Fast Penguin, there's lots of A's in there. A racing game that is essentially all the sliding levels in Fall Guys and Stumble Guys crossed with Club Penguin. Who thought Club Penguin PTSD was coming today? Up to 40 players start at the peak of the mountain and slide down 16 tracks, trying to outmaneuver each other with ultimate power-ups like riding a killer whale. The core mechanic here is to hit another player to get a boost. It's like aggressive slipstreaming. When behind other players, a simple hit will receive a speed boost and a little airtime which can find a shortcut. That means if you're at the back of the field, you always have a chance to make it to the front. Fast Penguin is monetized through a cosmetic battle pass and is out right now on PS5 and PC, with an Xbox and Switch version coming very soon. Another game you may have missed is Undefeated, a superhero open city game in which we play as Superman. The thing is, it's a very unofficial Superman, but his abilities are nigh on identical. I don't want to oversell this though, because Undefeated is more like a proof of concept rather than a real fleshed out game. That said, it does have fight scenes, you can fly around freely across the cityscape and solve a few cases along the way too. And it even has challenge quests for speed and accuracy checks. It gives a solid impression of what a real Superman video game could feel like, and for that alone I think it's worth a look-see. It's out right now on PS5 and PC, with an Xbox version coming soon. And all this is to set up the next installment coming in 2026, named Undefeated Genesis. I have one more game I need to update you on. Last month we looked at the MMO Throne and Liberty, and mere hours after I released the video, of course, it was delayed yet again. The new date of release is October the 1st, on PS5, Xbox Series and PC. There is also a paid version, but if you can hold out until release date, it's a totally free to play game. Okay, let's move on to reduced price games, games in the mid-range, and the return of Sonic Generations, with an all-new campaign featuring Shadow the Hedgehog, the cooler hedgehog, right? The velocity-filled platformer combines both the 2D levels, aka classic, and 3D missions, aka modern, for a complete nostalgia-filled experience. And with every copy of the game is the entire remastered original Sonic Generations, hence the title Sonic Cross Shadow Generations, as both campaigns play out alongside each other. Without a doubt, Sonic Cross Shadow Generations is a celebration of the history of that franchise, and now we get a little more backstory for Shadow, retailing at $50 US, €50 in Europe, and 45 quid here in the UK, dropping on October 25th on the PlayStations, the Xboxes, the PC, and the Switch gets it too. So I really struggled to choose a 10th game for this list, so instead let's do a speed round of a ton of great games coming in October. An MMO you may have heard of finally comes to console this month with a huge update, New World Eternum. We are shipwrecked on a mysterious island and must fight, forage and explore as somehow we become the core character in a world-altering plotline. New World Eternum lands on October 11th. Fans of Life is Strange should keep an eye out for Double Exposure, an episodic narrative adventure that brings back Max from the original games, who has the ability to live in 2 parallel timelines simultaneously. And if you played the original games, you should know this: both core endings will be acknowledged in this one, which really has me interested. October 29th for Life is Strange Double Exposure. Did you know there's a new SpongeBob game coming this month, and it's all about Patrick Star? And the weirdest thing about it, it's fully open world. Look out for it on October 4th. And the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are being unleashed again with a retro brawler on October 18th. And if you want another horror game, remember the movie A Quiet Place? Well, there's a game to scare the pants off you, set up like a stealth survival horror outing named The Road Ahead. It stars a whole bunch of new characters, so don't expect Emily Blunt to rock up. Boxing fans, the Undefeated game that has been in early access forever is coming out this month, and Persona fans will probably already know all about Metaphor ReFantazio. October is crazy crammed with games. I'd love to know what you're going to play. Anyway, for sticking around this long, I owe you a few dad jokes. Like this one. What do you call a small mother? A mini-mum. My son said to me, "Can I have a bookmark?" I started crying immediately. It's been 10 years and he doesn't know my name's Adam. Can a frog jump higher than a house? Of course it can. Houses can't jump. And finally, why can't dinosaurs clap their hands? Because they're extinct. Terrible, I know, but thank you for listening to them. I'm Adam, you're awesome, it's been a pleasure. See ya.